Hey everyone, welcome back to episode, which one?
4,
Episode
7?
4
12.
of Between Two Interns. Your hosts as usual are myself, Jemima, the accounts intern, and
Eric, the strategy intern.
awesome. And this week we are talking about, what are we talking about?
420 campaigns.
420 campaigns. So by the time this goes out, it'll be a little past 420. Eric, you have an article for us today, right?
I do. It's from Adage. The name of it is 420 Marketing. How brands are... Oh, that's a wrong comment. 420 Marketing. How brands are getting lit.
Yeah, getting lit. Okay. The article title could do some work, but you know what? That's not what we're here about today.
Because we specialize in copy, and I don't like that. Yeah. So the first one up is Doritos. They did a collaboration with Skullcandy. And just moments before we pressed play, we were still trying to grasp what the hell it is, just to start off.
Okay, so Doritos, let's do a recap of what the campaign was. So Doritos did a collaboration with Skullcandy, the earphones, headphones brand, and they released a custom set of nacho cheese inspired headphones. 420 sets exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a limited edition collaboration pair of wireless earphones, so Bluetooth,
Yeah.
which people can buy online. And turns out the collaboration sold out within 48 hours, so it was a hot item.
Were they just baked and really hungry? Like, I don't see what, like, the appeal of that still is.
Yeah, so like what Eric and I are confused about is like what is the relationship between the actual product and weed, aside from the fact that there's 420 sets.
Yeah, and something to do with a dust tray, which I googled, and it wasn't what I thought it was. But then you look deeper. I guess a dust tray is like similar to an ashtray.
Like an ashtray, or like I don't know, like a tray where like you roll a joint.
Or maybe
on.
you get so
we
messy.
We should preface. Okay, are you a regular smoker?
No, I am not.
I am also not a regular smoker, so we are going at this with an interesting pair of lens.
Okay, now that our moms aren't watching, we know for sure. No.
I thought you were serious.
No. But maybe the thing is that you smoke weed, you get a little messy dust tray to clean it up. Boom.
Okay, I'm confused why the dust tray is specifically almost the exact size of a Dorito chip.
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's a dust tray like for the chip itself. When you're eating, you spill crumbs everywhere. You don't want to get that all over your couch. So
like
they've given you a Doritos shaped dust tray.
But that's so like anti like weed culture. That's almost like posh. You have a tray for your singular Dorito to catch the crumbs from your singular Dorito.
It's a collectible. Are collectibles really meant to be functional? Maybe not.
Okay.
You know? Okay.
Fair enough.
I do, maybe it is less about the actual product and more just the brand association, right? Between Doritos as a munchie snack.
Yeah.
As a go-to munchie snack. That maybe they don't need to make that connection super obvious.
Maybe they're almost like poking fun at the crowd. We're like, you know what? We don't even have to try that hard. You know?
But I think it's interesting though. Like I agree with you that like, okay, what is the link here really between the actual event and the brand or the product rather? But I think it's so cool that this campaign performed really well, supposedly. In terms of like sales, I don't know about like impact.
It was
long-term
only
impact.
420 individual number sets. Yeah, it did sell out, but a brand like Skullcandy and Doritos.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see like how much is this actually going for right now on eBay? Because this was recent. Is anyone even selling this? Okay, I don't see it on eBay.
Half the products were eaten in the first 24 hours.
Okay, so we don't know, but this could be hot on the market. So if this is something you're interested in, we recommend keeping an eye on your local Craigslist or eBay. Okay, what's next?
Okay, next up here we have Barkbox. They have a collection of adorable pet-friendly treats so the whole house can join. And what they did is, I think this is incredible. They got a bunch of toys in the shapes of bongs, pipes, and flower-shaped chew toys for your pups to get their own high.
Are you familiar? I think Barkbox might be familiar to maybe a good portion of our audience. They're a subscription-based service, and they send a box of treats and toys every single month. So you're not... Oh yeah, that's pretty cute. I love it. That's pretty cute. We're going to pull up some photos. You can take a look at them. Pull up some photos of what the 420 themed Barkbox collection was. What do you love about it?
The face is so funny. This is because if you have in
the face of the dog.
If you have in the creative as well, it's your dog looking like kind of like his
Stone.
Eyes are leveled like that. Yeah, it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. I think it's light. It's funny.
It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm having fun with that one.
I do. I mean, I like the approach. It's very direct. I can appreciate that. I think it's fun. I just like...
I love it.
Is this unique though? Like, maybe from our advertising lens, it is like unique in terms of the creative execution. But do you think this is really unique?
A bong-shaped chew toy for your dog that looks suggestively relaxed. That's pretty freaking hilarious.
But you're talking about the creative though, not the actual like...
In it from a strategies perspective? Are you wondering?
Oh, sure.
Association with dog owners to... sorry, I'm just finding the...
It's really more for the owner.
I mean...
Than it is for the dog, isn't it?
I'm sure the dogs are like, yeah, man. Like, yeah. I'm trying to think of what the association could be. Maybe they just saw like there were some decent numbers in dog owners that casually smoke weed. Because they are launching products, and I feel like this is a fairly expensive campaign for them.
Because of the
like they're launching their own product line with it, like they're allocating.
I don't think it's actually like Barkbox's line. They usually have like other suppliers that they work with. They're like a retailer in a sense. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this collection specifically though. Yeah, they might have produced this themselves, but typically they don't. They just source from other brands, and they put it all together into that subscription box.
Huh.
So does that change your lens on whether it's actually creative?
No, I mean, if I'm just looking at that image in my face, I'm still laughing. I think it's great. From a strategic perspective, there must have been something there to tell them that this is the right move. Maybe just the brand overall. They're just like Barkbox.
I mean, sometimes there isn't something there.
Not just to fit the culture.
Not all campaigns are built on a good strategic platform. The Barkbox website is pretty cute though.
Yeah, I mean...
In that sense, like, I feel like it is pretty on brand for them.
Yeah.
Like something really playful and fun.
They're just, they seem light and playful.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a fair amount of cartoon that's already incorporated with just other creative. Yeah, I mean, I like this one. It's wholesome. Or actually...
Yeah, it's alright.
Got the opposite of wholesome, but it's a wholesome take. A wholesome take on something that's not traditionally wholesome.
A wholesome take on something not so wholesome.
So maybe they're future thinkers. Huh?
Okay.
Maybe they're ahead of the curve.
What's next one?
The next one we have Elysian Brewing has the perfect pairing for
Elysian, I think.
That makes so much more sense. Elysian Brewing has the perfect pairing for your 420 THC, the Dank Dust IPA. For my IPA lovers out there, I apologize.
Do you like IPA?
No. But I sympathize with them, assuming that is...
Oh, you like Stella, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Thank you for taking notes.
What's Stella? Is that like lighter? I don't really...
It's a cheap beer that just has a kick to it that I like.
A kick as in it's more bitter, or?
Yeah, I kind of just like the darker, like...
Oh,
Like
isn't that similar to IPAs? Because they're a little like hoppier. They tend to be hoppier.
I wouldn't say hoppy. It's just...
Oh, it's not? Is that not a term you really use for like mass manufactured beer or something?
I don't know how to associate the word hoppy. I don't think I've heard it before to describe something. Hoppy.
A beer that's hoppy is like typically more bitter.
I'm trying to imagine bitter.
Oh, I guess you're not a craft beer drinker, eh?
No. I like good old Budweiser, Kokanee, cheap. Honestly, it's the weirdest way to describe it, but my flavor in beer is just cheap. It's
as long as it gets the job done.
Well, it saves me money too, so I'm okay with not being fancy.
Oh, okay.
But to sympathize with, I cannot imagine. I know that IPA drinkers, at least stereotypically, are quite particular in what they drink.
I don't know if it's just IPA drinkers. I think it's really just craft beer drinkers.
Craft beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am sorry that this exists. What is happening? Okay. As someone who enjoys craft beer myself, I don't think I'm a craft beer nerd specifically, but as someone who knows what the craft beer community is like, I apologize on behalf of Elysian Brewing.
Strong take.
Strong take. Okay, for something limited edition, like, yeah, this is fun, but it's almost like a diss, in a sense, on craft beer to combine those two, because, okay, let's read out how they describe this product. It's specially brewed to have a pungent, dank, citrusy, earthy aroma. Let's just think about all those 4 adjectives together. Pungent, dank, citrusy, and earthy.
I don't think pungent should ever be the word.
Well, it is like a dank IPA.
Dank IPA.
Approach concept was...
That is the most hipster term I could ever think of. It's a dank IPA.
I mean, a dank IPA, like, to describe something could be cool, but literally a dank IPA
the word dank
is
should
not
be left
cool.
in 2015. Anyhow.
Says someone who's old-fashioned.
Yeah.
The word dank should be left in 2015.
I do think so.
Take notes. Okay. Interesting approach. It just sounds gross. That's what it is. It sounds gross. So would you drink this? If you would drink a Dank Dust IPA, send us a reply. I would love to poll how many people would actually want to try this.
Yeah, I think it's funny when they go on. So they partnered with rapper and chef Action Bronson, and they gave him the title Director of Dank. I think that's just brilliant in and of itself. That is...
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Reminds me of Lil Nas X and Taco Bell. Have you seen that?
No, what did they do?
He's they named him, I think it was Chief of Impact, I think. Let me double check.
Chief of Impact.
Taco Bell named Lil Nas X their Chief Impact Officer. So sort of like a spokesperson in a sense. So he's basically like the leader in terms of bringing pop culture to Taco Bell's like brand strategy.
That's a really cool concept.
Yeah, so I feel like they're touching on that here. It does say it's just like a partnership, so it's just short term.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty cool.
Director of Dank, I don't know, giving him sort of some ethos to step in this area, like an avid pot smoker. He endorses Elysian Dank Dust IPA.
Yeah, pretty cool. I like the partnership, like the influencer aspect of it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think that was
the product though. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, the execution, I guess. Like, I mean, and that's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool.
The branding is cool.
That's pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's
the
just
art is cute.
Yeah, maybe just the overall strategy isn't there for us, but I think in terms of the execution, it's actually looks cool. It looks fun. Director of Dank. I still can't get over that name.
Should that be like our LinkedIn headline? Aspiring director of Dank.
Looking for dank opportunities. Connect now.
Okay, what's the next one? Okay, so the next brand, we've got a smoking accessory brand, Edie Parker, who did a play on cigarette ads, like 50s, right? Like 50s era, like cigarette ads. They flipped it, and the slogan says, "Weeds come a long way." So I'm guessing the approach to this campaign is, would you say almost like bringing inclusion in a sense into weed? Because I feel like it's more associated with guys compared to women or non-binary. Would you say that? Like, is cannabis typically like marketed more towards a male demographic compared to a female one or a non-binary demographic?
I personally haven't associated it with the sex. What about you?
Oh, I feel like most branding I've seen for weed is leaning on like the masculine side. Personally.
Even just from the example that we saw with the Elysian dank IPA.
Yeah, exactly. Like the style of that, and also like the Doritos, like Skullcandy thing. Like the color was like red and orange. Like, not to say that like that color shouldn't be feminine, but stereotypically like it is more of like a masculine product.
Yeah, and
right.
I think you could definitely put it next to this, and that's like a much more obvious observation, putting them next to each other, which we can only realize right now analyzing.
Yeah. So this print ad, the tagline's pretty interesting, hey? It's saying "Weeds come a long way, baby." And like that little like bit at the end, like "baby," to like play off that like 50s vibe. What are your thoughts on that tagline?
In between when we were switching and moving, we kind of just discussed in between. Oh, side note, by the way, there was just some voices in the background, so that's why we have switch of scenery. And what we thought out loud in between moving is this might work as like...
In between moving? In between two interns?
In between two interns, yes. What came about... I think they're trying to play on like both gender equality and gender equality and like I guess the weed space, and as well just saying that like this is a lot more normal today. So I think that's
what actually... is a lot more normal today?
Oh, sorry, just
women smoking.
No, just smoking weed in general. Just the culture of weed, especially with like the 1950s copy and the design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting because it is, the message is definitely, it seems deeper than, like what is just on the surface.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool because they're paying homage to a specific brand of cigarettes that used to be targeted at women.
Yeah.
And now they're using this brand as inspiration, a brand for women as inspiration to market weed.
Mm-hmm.
So I see what you mean in the sense of like, oh, they're trying to be more inclusive when it comes to smoking weed like recreationally.
Yeah.
But like, to play devil's advocate, don't you think that by doing that, by paying homage to a brand that is marketing to women, don't you think that's almost like feeding into like a gender stereotype? So isn't it kind of like reversing the effect of what they want to do?
Because I think that we might even see that in an example where we talked about whether or not that even exists. Is weed-related advertising gender-focused to men? And it wasn't a thought that came to our minds until coming across this advertisement. So either it's bringing awareness to the problem, or it's kind of like saying it exists when it might not be top of mind. I think I'd probably beg I think it's called the latter when it's the second one. I beg the latter because, it's something that was just in the background that we didn't notice, but I think it'd be better if we did.
So you think it isn't propagating like gender stereotypes when it comes to weed? You think it's breaking down the stereotype?
I think it's breaking it down in the sense that it's bringing attention to it. We never had attention to it. And maybe there are, like, because neither of us, we were saying that we're not, like, avid weed smokers.
Yeah, it's just the thing is with these like gender equality campaigns or messaging, we see this a lot in the world where they create like they do create a divide between like men and women. Like, oh, this campaign is for women. This campaign is for women to fight against gender stereotypes. But I think that when you do that, it creates like a them v us mentality. And I think the approach, like, while you're right, like, it does bring our attention to how maybe a lot of like communications in the cannabis industry is male dominated. You're right, maybe that's true, we haven't really looked into it, but when you come out with like female focused communication like this, it makes that divide more
Visible.
Visible, and it makes the two groups like further away because you're putting them into like these categories instead of just coming out with something that is for both groups of people.
That brings me kind of to an interesting thought that I had not too long ago, in similar sense, where this going off topic, but let's say you have a character in a TV show and they're just, let's say they're gay, and part of their character story is always that like the difficulty of like coming out to your parents or something in that regard. And I think that's excellent, that's great, but would it be interesting to see a story where there's actually no struggle, in the sense that like they're just open and gay, their families are okay with it, and it's like normalizing it to that regard, in that regard, I mean.
Yeah, like instead of bringing up like their struggles and dramatizing that, it's just showing them as normal people.
Showing them as normal people, that it's like so normal today that it just they just happen to be a gay character and they're like just living on a normal life, because some people do experience that as well. It's almost like normalizing the thought of homosexuality.
Yeah, do you think there's a certain do you think there's maybe like an evolution to this? Is this a process when it comes to, you know, DEI or social justice? Is there a specific stage we need to go through? Like, first, do we need to bring up the divide and like make it more obvious? So before we can go to like actually normalizing it. So for your example, like first we need to show like what it actually means to struggle as someone who is non-binary, for us to then begin like normalizing it. Do you think it's necessary to have those two stages?
I think, yeah, looking at it now, I do think that it's definitely beneficial to show that struggle first before just jumping into showing that it's easy. I'd like to hear your take on it, though.
I think no. I think that when it comes to pop culture or film and TV, we feel like we need to dramatize it for it to make sense to people who don't identify with that person, right? To like make them empathize with, for example, non-binary people. But I honestly don't think we need to do that. I think like if they're willing to, people should be willing to empathize with people who are different from them without having to look at their lens from a really dramatic perspective on film and TV.
Yeah, because even if, like, to that point, like, when I reflect on, like, being a person of color, seeing another member from my community just, like, happen to be in the show and nothing else, like, they're just another character, I appreciate that. They just happen to be a part of the show, and there's not, like, this whole backstory of, like, this person coming, like, an immigrant family and all that, you know, because, like, people of color are just immersed in our society and they just continue about. Like,
okay, off topic, but low-key, this is like my beef with Shang-Chi. Okay, great movie. Not a huge Marvel fan myself, or superhero
Disclaimer,
fan,
I haven't
but
seen it. Disclaimer, yeah.
You haven't seen it? Okay.
I haven't seen it.
It was a good movie, but I just like I just have some beef with the movie, but with how they like dramatized Asian culture.
I've heard and
how they emphasized it in a way that made it like super obvious.
Yeah.
Like, it was really funny for someone like me to like see that, you know, for the first time, like being so them being so like blunt and obvious with it, like in a Hollywood film, like that was new and exciting to me. But
Yeah.
you know, outside of that, like it just felt really corny, cheesy, and like forced.
Yeah.
Like that close-up shot of him taking off his shoes as he came into the house. Like, okay, you know, I get
We
it.
understand
It's
your
an Asian
culture.
thing. It's an Asian thing. But like, do you really need to zoom in to a shot of his feet at that moment? Like,
Yeah.
is that really an important cultural symbol?
Yeah.
You know, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It almost seems like it's to like a performative sense where it's just like we see you.
It felt performative in some
Yeah.
scenes. Yeah.
But then I guess like to go back to this, maybe we're saying that this, like drawing the divide and saying like, oh, weed is normal for like women as well, but instead they could have just had it with a bit more like I guess feminine tones, and I think that that would have been a great execution as well, as opposed to addressing it in such a way that almost seems like targeted and like as if it's done for a very specific reason. I don't know if it needed to be addressed that way. Going back to like me being a person of color, I just like seeing someone from my community in the TV show without mention of it. It would have maybe just been cool to just like have it with more feminine tones.
This one does have feminine tones though, doesn't it?
But without addressing specifically
like women, like not having women in the print ad.
Yeah, or just not having like weed campaigns like targeted
specific to women, but more towards the general audience.
Yeah.
Right, like something more inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree there. Okay, should we wrap up today's episode?
Yes, we should.
Okay, so today Eric and I reviewed, what was it, like 4 campaigns?
4 campaigns.
4
Doritos.
campaigns.
Eating Doritos Skullcandy if you make it there. And then
Barkbox. We looked at
I love Barkbox. I just discovered that brand today. I love what you're doing, Barkbox. You're definitely not hearing this, but I love it.
You never know. Eventually, they might. When we make it big.
Yeah. We'll get together.
It won't be between 2 interns anymore. It'll be between 2 advertisers.
Wow. How wholesome and cute.
Whoa.
Well,
and then on our LinkedIn profile, our headline will be Director of Dank.
Directors of Dank. Dank strategist, Dank account services, or wherever we take on.
Because the 3rd brand was Elysian Brewing, and the 4th brand we looked at Edie Parker, and there was a 5th one. Oh no, there wasn't.
There was not a 5th one. Maybe she has partaken in the campaign festivities in between while we were moving places. I don't know. I can't confirm.
Just
Mom
like a
again.
Quick joint.
Mom again, if you're watching, not me. It was her.
No.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us this week.
Let us know if you are interested in Doritos Skullcandy. We will provide a link in the description below. If you're interested in nabbing a pair of those limited edition headphones, make sure to look out for it on eBay or Craigslist. And let us know if you like a Dank Dust IPA and if that's something you would actually want to try. We'd love to hear your thoughts. As usual, thank you for your time. This has been Between Two Interns. We'll see you next week. Yay.